Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to kick off the week with you, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I've got my St. Patrick's Day green on and I'm all set. Before we dive into the Devo, let's just take a minute to talk about the great weekend we had. It was so much fun to see everybody enjoying the St. Patrick's Day treats. And in case you're wondering, Pop Rocks are very popular at Twin Lakes Church. And even more exciting than the St. Patrick's Day treats was seeing 60 parents in our Adventures in Parenting class, seeing 30 people in the membership class, and seeing our new ADHD parent support group kick off. I love all the different ways to connect here at TLC, and I hope you take advantage of them. All right, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I thought we'd dive a little bit into St. Patrick, a real person who I think exemplified the verse that we focused on this last weekend. Love your neighbor as yourself. You may know some of his story, but Patrick actually ended up in Ireland because he was kidnapped and brought to Ireland and forced to work as a slave, essentially, in the fields and as a shepherd. After 6 years, he escaped and he was able to get back to England. And you would think that he would just stay safely in England and never travel anywhere near Ireland again. But Patrick knew that God was calling him back to his captors to share and show them the love of Jesus. And he was willing to go. Now, thankfully, most of us won't be called to love our neighbors in such a dramatic fashion, but Patrick is an example of how the power of God's love can motivate us, can overcome our fears, our prejudices, and even our grudges. One of the things that Renee said in the sermon that I personally find so critical when it comes to loving my neighbor as myself is remembering how God has loved me. If we set out to love our neighbor in our own strength, I promise you, at least in my life, we'll find that we run down to empty real quickly in our own strength. But if we jump in and love from the supply of love that God just pours out on us, we'll never run out of love for our neighbor. We won't run out because God's love for us, for you, will never run out. In Ephesians 3:17 through 19, the Apostle Paul says, "And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the Lord's holy people to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God." I invite you today, soak in God's love for you. Roll around in your mind the wide and long and high and deep love that God has for you. And then see your neighbors, your literal neighbors, and people in the community. Love them from the love that God has given you, that long and high and wide, deep love of God. One of the cool things I think when it comes to loving from God's supply of love is that I'm released from expectations. No matter how the other person responds, whether it's with a heartfelt thank you or a nod or a shrug or no response at all, their response isn't what fills me. God's love fills me. God's unending love for me and for you. I hope as you head into this St. Patrick's Day that you enjoy your day and remember God's love for you, and I look forward to seeing you in church this weekend.